Good morning.
Good morning.
I think Hogen is going to come in and join us in a minute for the talk, but I thought I would start out since he's still doing Chozen. We're just finishing a 2-month summer program. We had a number of people here for the summer. I think we had 17 all told. Some for the month of July, some for the month of August, and some for both months. So we're bidding a fond farewell to that last group. I'll be leaving today. And the summer is the time when the monastery population doubles. And that's a really interesting and exciting time. I think a lot of people imagine that a monastic life is very quiet and serene. And those of you who have lived here now know that this is a different kind of monastery. Zen monasteries are extremely permeable to the environment and responsive to the needs that come forward. So it isn't a Catholic cloistered monastery situation. It's very, very interactive, partly because of Dogen Zenji, who talked about continuous practice, that everything we do has to become our practice. It's not just living in isolation, sitting on a cushion, although we do need to do a lot of that too. So we try to devote 1 week per month to sesshin, to silent sitting, in order to recharge our batteries so that we can work in the world. So yesterday was a particularly exciting day. Hogen, there's a chair for you up here, cushion for you up here. Yesterday was a particularly exciting day. We had our Jisobon, and every year it gets better. Things are added. So it starts out with lantern making, and then for the lantern procession later. And then we have tea ceremony by certified teachers in the Japanese tea tradition. And they come and dress up in kimono and do formal Japanese tea for everybody, explaining what it's about. And we have 2 sittings of tea. And then we have a extremely accomplished shakuhachi flute player. And shakuhachi flute has a long tradition in Zen and in Buddhism in Japan as a practice. And he played during the tea ceremony, and then he also played 4 pieces in concert before supper. And then the addition this year is we've long wanted to do obon dancing, which is folk dancing in Japan that's always done during the fall festival. And usually it's done in the temples with live music, and then they have strings of lights, or in the old days lanterns, over an enclosed space. And the whole temple community or a village comes together and does dancing in concentric circles. And it's a very warm feeling of everyone coming together in the fall. And usually this, the obon time is a time in Japan when they believe that the boundaries between this world and the next dissolve, and your friends and relatives who've passed on can come back and join you for a week. So they have celebrations and picnics in cemeteries and clean up the cemeteries and have parties for their ancestors and their friends who have left this world. And then at the end of that time they go back to their new home, and to guide them back you use lanterns. Often they're floated down a river. We did a lantern procession. So also part of that tradition is obon dancing. And I've long wanted to have obon dancing as part of our practice, but we just couldn't get it together because the obon teachers are always busy at obon time. But Hogen came to me last week and said, I have a nice surprise. I found an obon teacher in Astoria, a friend of Hogen. So he came, and he's very accomplished and knows all the traditions and did a wonderful job teaching us obon dancing. Then we had supper, and then we had a all new puppet show with fantastic music, and all the young people who were here this summer got together and put on a great performance. And then we had the lantern procession in the forest, in the gathering gloom of darkness, and then a Kshitigarbha ceremony in here, and then fireworks. So it's an exciting day that goes from 3 till 10 nonstop. But it's wonderful. I think Hogen counted about 90 people who came through the monastery yesterday. So the word about that festival is growing. So one of the wonderful things about the monastery is you can never predict what's going to happen next. And often it's something completely unexpected and quite delightful. We've been reading about karma, called kama in Pali. Karma at the dinner table, or breakfast table, where we always do a reading and have a little bit of a discussion. And I think most of you know that the word karma is misunderstood in the West. It's thought to imply fate. But it doesn't mean that at all. It's a very workable energy. And our practice helps us understand it and then work with it, so that we are not victims in life. You know, there's in psychology they talk about inner direction and outer direction, or inner locus of power and outer locus of power. And so some people, especially if they grew up in difficult circumstances, come to believe in an outer locus of power, that is, the world runs me down and I have no ability to change that. So in S they used to say that's lying on the roller coaster tracks. You're lying down on the tracks and periodically the train comes and runs you over, the roller coaster runs you over. So that's outer locus of power. That's a belief. It's not truth, it's a belief. But particularly if you grew up in a chaotic family where things were not predictable, then you often come to believe in an outer locus of power, that things are out of your control and you just do the best you can and grit your teeth and get through life. But life somehow is always making you a victim. But then inner locus of control is a belief that we do have power, that how we think, how we speak, and what we do can change our entire life. And of course that's a basic Buddhist belief, and it is related to karma. So karma means intention. That's what it actually means. It means intentional or volitional action. And it includes, and this is I think how the reading expanded our awareness, it includes what we choose to pay attention to. What we choose to pay attention to is what we are feeding the energy of our attention to. Attention is energy. So we know that, let's say with children. If you don't pay attention to children, you're going to have problems. If you pay a certain kind of attention to children, you're going to have more problems. That is, if you're mean or abusive to them. If you pay another kind of attention, loving kind of attention with a certain amount of warm discipline, and teaching them to self-discipline, then you're going to get another outcome. So attention is energy. And karma also means what we attend to and what we feed with energy and how we feed it. So this basically means our thoughts, since all of our intentions arise initially from thoughts, and where we place our mind, what kinds of thoughts we cultivate and where we place our mind, and then how we speak, and then our actions. So all of those have effects in the world, and those effects, the karma may ripen. They talk about karma ripening, because these are all energies that have effects, and so we'll see the effects, the ripening, like planting seeds and growing trees and plants and having fruit. It could ripen right away. So you could punch somebody and you could get punched back. That would be right away. Or it could ripen later. You could say something mean about somebody and then they don't find out about it for a month, but then they get mad at you. Or in Buddhism we say it could ripen a long time from now.